extra training camp for you and your guys?
It's big for us because just the type of practice we have, it's so short. It's just up tempo. It's up tempo. We go about an hour and 20 minutes. That we don't really get enough individuals sometimes for offensive linemen. And just our class schedules and different things like that. We don't always get to stay after as long as we like. So, coaches bumped individual from about 10 to about half an hour. And I think it'll be beneficial for our guys going to the next 2 weeks or next week, whatever it is. Yeah.
With X's draft status, have you talked to him about the draft and what you think he's going to do?
Yeah, we've been talking about it for the last couple of weeks, here and there. I'm supposed to get a little more serious right after his eval comes back. He knows what I think about it. You come here to have success after you're done here, and if that's a little bit, 1 year earlier, then you just go ahead and do that. Now I'm not going to hold him back from it. I want to see him do well, and he's earned the right. He's a 3-time All-American and 3-time All-Conference, all those different things. There's not much more he can accomplish in terms of accolades. The only thing he'd really be coming back for is, he can sharpen up things, but if he comes out and he's the first or second guard taken, I think it's a no-brainer. People may disagree with that in terms of me supporting that, but obviously he can come back and improve on some things, but you obviously take a chance of certain things happening. He's been fortunate, knock on wood, that he hasn't had any injuries or anything of that nature, but you never know what could happen. So I would never want to give him a definitive answer and just decide it for him. But there's something that he's going to sit down with his parents and we'll talk about after the season is over.
How important? Go ahead.
Compared to, you obviously played in the NFL. Compared to guys you've seen or rookies coming in, how does he compare to that level?
Well, he could do some things. He's aware of it. There's some things that we've talked about since he came back off his mission, just in terms of change his body composition, getting a little bit stronger. We do some things schematically to cover up some deficiencies in terms of strength at times. We did that last year, and then those are plays that worked for us well, so we carried him over to this season. So he hasn't been asked to do certain things a lot, but he's capable of doing it, but how consistently he can do it, I'm not real certain. But I also think that he's a guy that's very competitive, and once he gets in an environment where there's a lot of other guys like him, I think he's going to get even better, even faster, and he's going to excel. There's some guys that go there and they're kind of shell-shocked and they just become average guys, and there's some guys that go there and they excel because they're around guys like them with the same mentality, same physical capabilities and different things like that. And obviously he's a special player in terms of what he could do physically, and from a mental standpoint he's mature beyond his years, and I don't think it's going to be that much of an adjustment for him going up there. And the things that he knows on the field, that he knew prior to coming here, and the things that hopefully I helped him learn since I've been here, I think those are going to carry over, and they're just going to get sharpened up at the next level, and he's going to have a lot of success. And it just depends on when he wants to get there and to work on those things.
I know you didn't necessarily want to play him at tackle, just because you wanted him keep him at guard because that was where he was going to be at the next level.
Yeah.
Seems like that's almost helped him. It seems like everything I've talked to, people talk about the versatility, and that's been a huge deal.
It's helped him. Obviously going into the season, I can recall just saying that I'd like to get him a couple reps just to show that he can play it. I don't think he'll play that at the next level, but the more you can do, position flexibility always makes you a little more valuable. But the reason why I don't put him at guard wasn't so much to help him with his NFL stock, because I thought he was going to be fine regardless, but it's just more so we could have continuity, so he didn't have to switch from week to week, so he could just really, work on his skills. So much different from guard to tackle, especially in our system for things we do, run game and passing game. And so, I just wanted him to show what he can do and just be the best he can be every single week. And also want him to get used to working next to one guy. Obviously that didn't happen. We lose 3 or 4 tackles and just different things happening. So it's been, he doesn't show it, but I know that as a player I probably would have been a little bit frustrated. But like I said, he's very mature, and he's handled it in an admirable way, and he's made my job a lot easier, Coach Mazzoni's job a lot easier, because it'd be real easy for him to, blame others when things aren't working out all the time. And it is hard, offensive line is unlike any other unit. Everybody has to work in cohesion, and when you don't have, the same group of the same guys next to one another week in and week out, it's almost like starting from scratch every week, And so I think he's did a good job on and off the field, and he's really helped.
How much of a difference has he made kind of keeping this line intact in terms of, so many young guys, so many injuries, and he's kind of been that one
he's
constant.
Been a constant. Yeah, he and Jake have been a constant, and Alex has been there, but obviously Alex is young. There's games where I tell him don't say anything, because he'd get a wrong call or something like that, but he busts his tail, but it's nothing like X and Jake, both of them are very mature, and Jake's a little less patient than X, so his way of approaching things are a little bit different, but X's patience has been something that's been real valuable to our group. And it's another set of eyes and ears and another voice in the room to really help them. So it's almost like having another assistant O-line coach. He really picked up everything fairly quick, and like I said, because of leaving and going on this mission and coming back, and then already being a mature kid before that, it's been really beneficial to our guys.
Who do you think he compares to in terms of guys in the NFL that you've seen or worked with?
I don't know. He brings so much to the table. I mean, his ability to bend and just suddenness, explosiveness is pretty rare for somebody that size, and it's scary to think about what he can be when he finally gets his body composition change. It's been changing gradually, but it's difficult for these kids. We have a meal table and different things like that, but we don't have access to them all the time, and we're able to only feed them a certain amount of meals. But then when you get to the next level, you can get a chef, and you can get somebody that is there all the time, that maybe could live in there, drop your meals off throughout the day, and do all those different things. All of a sudden, your body changes. And that's one of the things I said for him during his draft preparation or wherever he goes to train. When he has access to those things, and someone that's there all the time, and they put all the things together, whether it's simple things that we as adults may take for granted, massages, chiropractic, all these different things like that, his body's going to change like that. 2-3 months, you come back and his face will be a little bit leaner, all those different things, and it's amazing the gains that guys can make when they're that caliber kid and people are willing to invest that much money in you before the draft. And I think the world of him on and off the field, and I just think he's going to do a great job.
There was some panic for a little while, especially when Jim was possibly going to Washington, that you might leave for another job. What convinced you that this is the place for you, and what do you kind of see in your future in terms of coaching this offensive line?
Well, I mean, I enjoy working here, and Jim's very good to me. So I went to grew up a little ways down the road, but I went to high school right down the street, so I cross paths with a lot of people just going to lunch every day, and just it's a familiar environment that I'm very comfortable in. Sometimes there's things more important, than money and everything. And the guys that I've been fortunate and been lucky to bring in a few guys, whether it's my position or other positions over the course of the last couple of years, and them being so young, maybe if they're juniors and think about it a little bit more, but them being the age that they are and being freshmen, not everybody chooses to come someplace just because of the school and different things like that. So I just felt I owe it to them at least, that's not the only reason, but I mean that's one of the main reasons. Is just I want to be here and I want to help them develop, and I wanted to be by their side as they go through it.
Sorry, go on.
Oh, no.
How important is it for you to just be able to build something that's your own like that? You have so many young guys that you brought in specifically, and
it's awesome. I went through it when I was at SMU. I had the same guys when I was a volunteer. I had them on scout team, and then all 5 of those guys started when I was in my first year working there, and then we went all the way through to seniors. And to have 3 of them playing now at the next level is, it's a pretty awesome feeling to see them. One guy starts at Pittsburgh and he's 240. His first year playing tackle. Obviously a different level of recruiting over there. With that conference or whatever. But to see where he's at now, it's pretty awesome. And I think we have a number of guys in my room, just talking about my room, a number of guys that have the ability to go there, and it'd be kind of nice to see it through and just to see him develop. And it's not just about that, but just seeing him develop as young men and just having success. And the same things we talked about when going in there on a home visit coming to fruition, a couple years later. So I don't know what the future holds, but I know right now that this obviously was the best place for me. And it's, it's a little bit enticing, just thinking about it. But I mean, it was the right choice and it was the best choice for me, and I feel good about it.
Who's the lineman in Pittsburgh?
Oh, Kelvin Beachum. He just got hurt, but there's another one in Washington Redskins, another one in Dallas. So, yeah.
Okay.
Huh. With the new signing or the dead period, how's that going to affect your ability to close in the last month?
I think it's beneficial for both sides, for the players and the coaches. Sometimes a little bit of a break, and I didn't go out there to All-Star games last year, but I heard that it was a zoo, and just the kids couldn't really enjoy it, and the coaches felt bad about going out there and harassing the kids. So I think it's good on both ends. Obviously, there's some guys that are making decisions at the All-Star game, so you want to kind of get in there and get in their homes early, and then there's other guys who are going to decide on signing day. So kind of break it up in order of priorities, in order of guys when they're going to commit. But there'll be some guys that may not commit here that you still try to take a stab at in this next go around. So it gives you a little bit of time to regroup and gather some intel and everything, and then go back out on the road and hit it. But I think it's beneficial on both sides.
With some of the injuries like Connors and Simon and then Torian's status, does that change the equation for how many guys we're thinking about bringing in?
No, because Connor would be fine. It's something that it was ongoing because it didn't get repaired. Okay. Now it's repaired. A lot of times you come back stronger than what you were before you had the injury. In regards to Torian, that is something that's already, from a legal standpoint, it's already been cleared outside of here. It's just some things, on campus. Just the UC system, you got to go through some things to get it, just to get it move forward. Who was the other one? Was it Simon? Simon. That's another one that the way it was fixed last year, he played throughout the season on and different things of that nature. This year we took him off his feet, and he had the broken ankle, but I had a broken ankle, 6 screws, metal plate, and I came back and I was fine. I did that early in college, and I don't see that setting him back really. And I know people sometimes can get concerned thinking about the depth, but you have to realize that the 3 guys that we had get hurt are the 3 guys that were playing. And Kawasi's going to be a freaking good player. Caleb started, the games this year, so we're going back to having tremendous depth. If anything, it may be the opposite of what people think. That maybe the guards, we need to get a couple more guards in here, but I think we'll address that here in recruiting, and there's some guys I'm pretty certain that, we'll get, and I think we'll be fine moving forward. So, very young group, so I don't know if it's 9 or 10 freshmen and redshirt freshmen, it's just they're going to take time to develop, but I think they're coming along pretty good.
Mm-hmm. If X leaves, do you want to keep Scott at that position, or do you want to find a way to transition him?
No, I like to get Scott at center. But if he can't beat Jake out, then I'll put him back at guard. I just want to be the best 5 are going to play, and that's one of the things I look for in recruiting is position flexibility. Guys that probably play tackle on their high school team but play guard. If they can't play guard or tackle, then move them into center. Center's not a position I really put a lot of soccer to in terms of I want a quality center, but in regards to giving out a scholarship to that, I'd rather spend that on tackle, and then develop him and teach him how to play guard. Somebody like Caleb can play guard and tackle. X can play guard and tackle. Alex Redmond was a tackle in high school. He could play either way. Kawasi could play guard if we need him to. Scott was a tackle in high school, but playing guard, center. It was one game where we had so many guys go down. He was the next tackle in. So Ben Wasaki could play guard and tackle. So position flexibility, the more you can do, just similar to what they do in the league. We just need to. We like to have some depth, but really want to go into each game with 8 guys that we know that can play, that plug anybody in, and we could be fine. So that's what we're trying to establish and find.
Could Jake potentially play guard?
He could, but you're talking about the guy that's had success at center. He's had his different elements or whatever, but when he's healthy, he's pretty dang good. All-American last year, I think he's honorable mention all-conference this year. So I'm very comfortable with him there, but I want to create an environment, a competitive environment, and so I'm gonna put Scotty back there in spring, and then hopefully, not hopefully he beats him out, but hopefully, there's a fight there, and I make Jake better and make Scott a little bit hungrier. So.